What gets you out of bed on a lazy morning? Is it the smell of coffee, the promise of a new day, or that big dream you're chasing? Now flip it. What makes your heart race during a job interview, or your palms sweat before a first date? These questions tap into two invisible forces steering our lives every day: motivation and emotion. They're the secret drivers behind why we do what we do and how we feel while doing it. In fact, the word motivation comes from the Latin movere, meaning to move. It's literally what moves us into action. Imagine having a remote control for your inner world, pressing go when you need motivation to tackle a tough task, or pressing calm to steady your emotions in a crisis. Sounds empowering, right? In this video, we'll uncover the psychology of motivation, what sparks your drive, and emotional processes, what triggers those feelings in your gut. These aren't just textbook theories. They explain why you sometimes feel unstoppable and other times can't even get off the couch, and why a tiny setback can make you angry one day but barely bother you the next. By the end, you'll learn how to boost your motivation on demand and master your emotions for better decisions, relationships, and happiness. Intrigued? Stick around. The science of your everyday life is about to get super relatable. Understanding motivation, the fuel that drives you. Let's kick things off with motivation, that inner fire that pushes you to act. Motivation answers the questions: why are you doing something? How long will you do it? And how hard will you push for it? Psychologists have found that motivation directs and sustains our goal-directed behavior. It's the difference between merely wanting something and actually working for it. High motivation can even turbocharge your performance. Studies show it's linked to better achievement in sports, work, and school. In other words, motivation turns ideas into actions and dreams into reality. But what really motivates us? Is it all about chasing rewards, or is there more under the hood? Let's break down a few key psychological theories in simple terms. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Picture a pyramid of needs. At the base are basic needs like food, water, and safety. Above are psychological needs like love, belonging, and esteem. And at the top is self-actualization, achieving your full potential. According to Abraham Maslow, we're driven to fulfill basic needs first, before moving on to higher level goals. Example: if you're literally starving or in danger, you're not worrying about writing the next great novel or finding self-fulfillment. Your motivation zeroes in on getting food and safety first. But once those basics are met, you start seeking friendships, confidence, and personal growth. It's like climbing a ladder. Stabilize the bottom rungs, basic needs, so you can ascend to the top, your biggest ambitions. Self-determination theory, SDT. Ever notice you're more motivated when you choose to do something rather than being forced? SDT, developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, says true motivation flourishes when three basic needs are met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. That's a fancy way to say we all crave 1. Control over our actions, 2. A sense of skill and achievement, and 3. Connection to others. When these needs are satisfied, we experience intrinsic motivation, doing things for the pure joy or personal value of it. Example: think about a hobby you love, like playing guitar or a sport. You practice because it's fun or fulfilling, not just for a prize. You feel autonomous, it's your choice. You build competence, skills, and maybe you join a community, social connection. That inner satisfaction? That's intrinsic motivation firing on all cylinders. On the flip side, extrinsic motivation is when you do something for an outside reward or pressure, like studying just to get a grade or working just for a paycheck. Both can drive us, but intrinsic motivation is often stronger and more sustainable. It's like an endless battery compared to a one-time charge. Expectancy theory. This theory, by Victor Vroom, says we're motivated by the belief that our efforts will lead to results we value. In simple terms, it's a mental equation. Motivation equals, can I do it? Times, is it worth it? You ask yourself, if I put in effort, can I succeed? And if I succeed, will the reward be satisfying? If both answers are yes, your motivation soars. Example: let's say you're considering whether to spend your evening studying for an exam. If you believe that studying hard will earn you a high score, and that this high score will help you get into your dream college, a reward you really care about, you'll feel highly motivated to hit the books. But if you think the exam is impossibly hard, low expectancy, or that the score doesn't really matter to you, low value, then hello, procrastination. Expectancy theory basically reminds us that motivation is not just about raw desire, it's also about our confidence in the payoff. These theories might sound abstract, but they're happening in your life right now. Feeling unmotivated at work? Maybe your basic needs, like sleep or a sense of security in your job, aren't fully met, or the work doesn't fulfill your need for autonomy or growth. Procrastinating on a project? Perhaps you're not convinced your effort will pay off, or you haven't connected the task to something you truly care about. The key takeaway: motivation comes from a mix of fulfilling your needs, finding inner passion, and believing in a rewarding outcome. And why does this all matter? Because motivation is the engine of success. When you harness it, you become more productive, persistent, and creative. Motivated people tend to perform better and achieve more, not just because they work harder, but because they work smarter and don't give up easily. So, understanding what fuels your motivation is like discovering the personalized formula for your own success and happiness. Emotional processes explained. Why we feel what we feel. Now let's switch gears to emotions, those powerful currents in our daily lives. What exactly are emotions? They're more than just feelings. They're whole body experiences. Psychologically, an emotion is a complex response that involves your brain, body, and behavior. In plain language, something happens. Say, you get an unexpected text. Your brain interprets it. Your body reacts, heart pounding, face smiling, or maybe stomach dropping. And you feel a conscious emotion: joy, anger, fear, surprise. Emotions can be as subtle as a slight mood or as overwhelming as a tidal wave of feelings. They're built into our biology, designed to help us survive and thrive. But they can also perplex us. Why do I get anxious out of nowhere? Why did that comment make me so angry? Psychologists have cooked up several theories to explain how emotions work. James Lange theory. We feel afraid because we tremble. This theory proposes that our physical reactions come first and the emotion comes second. For example, imagine you're walking in the woods and suddenly you see a bear. The moment you spot it, your body springs into action, your heart races, you start trembling. According to James Lange, you then notice those bodily changes and go, "Whoa, my heart is pounding. I must be afraid." In other words, the body's reaction creates the emotion. It sounds backwards. Most of us think we tremble because we're scared. But this theory says, nope, you're scared because you tremble. Real life relatable example. Think of times you've laughed so hard that tears came, then realized how truly happy you were, or you stood tall and felt confident because you noticed your power posture. The idea is that change your physical state, and you can influence your emotional state. Cannon-Bard theory. Not everyone agreed with James Lange. Critics like Walter Cannon said, hold on, our body reactions are too slow or too similar to explain all the different emotions. Cannon-Bard theory argues that we feel emotions and experience physiological reactions simultaneously. Using the same bear scenario, the moment you see the bear, boom, your thalamus, a part of your brain, sends two messages at once. One triggers your body, sweating, heart racing, and at the same time another triggers the feeling of fear in your mind. So you shake and feel fear together. One doesn't cause the other. Example: ever had a near car accident where in the split second you both felt terror and your body jolted, like slamming the brakes, heart and throat, all at once? That's what Canonbard is talking about. Emotion and body united in a simultaneous, oh no. Schachter-Singer two-factor theory. This one's like a mashup of the first two with a twist of brainpower. It says emotion equals arousal plus interpretation. First, your body has a reaction, then you consciously label that reaction based on the context, and that label is the emotion you feel. So context is key. In our bear example, you see the bear, your body revs up. Adrenaline, heart thumping. Now your brain steps in. Heart racing, in the woods, big bear. Okay, I'm scared. But imagine your heart racing with the same intensity, but the context is different. Say you're at a surprise party and everyone just yelled, "Surprise!" with a cake. You'd interpret that arousal as excitement or joy instead. Example from everyday life. You have butterflies in your stomach and your palms are sweaty. If you're about to give a speech, you might label it as anxiety. But if you're about to meet someone you really like, you might call it excitement. Same physical feeling, different emotion, because your brain labels it based on the situation. Schachter-Singer basically taught us that our thoughts about what's happening play a huge role in what we feel. So, emotions are body plus brain in concert. But why do we have them at all? Well, emotions are incredibly important signals. They're like an internal GPS for navigating life's challenges and opportunities. Let's talk about their impact. Decision making. You might think being rational means ignoring emotions, but surprise, we actually need emotions to make good decisions. Research by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio showed that people who can't feel emotions due to brain injuries struggle to make even simple decisions. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Every choice we make, from what to eat for lunch to which job to take, is guided by how we feel about the options. Emotions quickly tell us what we prefer or what's important. For example, that uneasy feeling about a sketchy job offer, that's your emotions waving a red flag. The excitement bubbling up about moving to a new city, that's signaling a potentially great opportunity. Emotions summarize our instincts and past experiences into a gut feeling. Of course, intense emotions can also cloud judgment, like buying something expensive on impulse because you're super excited, or saying something harsh out of anger. The key is, emotions drive us to act, but we should reflect on them when making big decisions. Relationships. Emotions are the glue and sometimes the solvent in our relationships. They help us connect with others. Imagine trying to experience love, empathy, or even friendship without emotions. Impossible, right? Positive emotions like love, joy, and gratitude bring people together and strengthen bonds. Empathy, the ability to feel what someone else feels, is essential for trust and intimacy. On the flip side, unmanaged negative emotions, anger, jealousy, resentment, can damage relationships quickly. If you've ever snapped at a loved one in frustration and hurt their feelings, you know how that emotional outburst can create distance. Conversely, showing vulnerability, like sharing that you're sad or anxious, can bring people closer because it invites support and understanding. The takeaway: being aware of our emotions and those of others, hello, emotional intelligence, is key to healthy relationships. In fact, struggling to regulate emotions is linked to social problems. For example, lashing out in anger often damages friendships and family ties. But when we handle our emotions well, like communicating calmly when upset, we can resolve conflicts and deepen our connections. Mental health. Our emotional patterns play a huge role in mental well-being. Emotions are like messengers telling us what's going on inside. Chronic sadness might signal depression. Constant anxiety might point to overwhelming stress. or an anxiety disorder. Learning to manage emotions in a healthy way is crucial for mental health. If we ignore or suppress feelings, they often backfire. Bottled up emotions can lead to anxiety, depression, or even physical health issues over time. And if we're ruled by our emotions, that's not great either. Imagine being so swept by anger or despair that you can't function. The goal is emotional balance, being able to experience a full range of feelings, but not be controlled by them. For instance, it's okay to feel angry, but how you respond to that anger, yelling and breaking things versus calmly addressing the problem, makes a world of difference to your mental health and those around you. Psychology research has found that people who practice good emotional regulation tend to be happier and less stressed, and they bounce back from challenges more quickly. So, understanding your emotional processes, knowing why you might suddenly feel down or what triggers your stress, is the first step to managing them and protecting your mental health. Think of it as building emotional resilience. Life will always have emotional ups and downs, but you can learn to surf those waves instead of being dunked by them. Practical applications, taking charge of your motivation and emotions. Alright, so we've covered the science and theory. Now let's get practical. How can you use these insights in your daily life to be more motivated and handle your emotions better? Let's break it down with some actionable tips and real-world scenarios. Boosting your motivation, ignite that inner drive. 1. Find your why. Motivation skyrockets when you have a meaningful reason behind what you're doing. So, for any task you're dreading, connect it to a bigger goal or value. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? For example, if you're procrastinating on studying, remind yourself, I want to learn this because I'm aiming for my dream career, or doing well in this class will give me the skills to help people. Linking tasks to your personal values or dreams turns tedious chores into steps towards something rewarding. Suddenly, you're not just memorizing formulas, you're building your future. 2. Set clear goals in tiny steps. Ever feel overwhelmed by a big project and do nothing as a result? Combat that by breaking big goals into bite-sized pieces. Our brains love clarity. As one psychology tip puts it, the clearer you are on the tasks you need to do, the easier it is to start and finish them. So, instead of a daunting item like write my thesis or get fit, break it down. Write 200 words of introduction or do a 10-minute walk today. Each small win gives you a hit of achievement and momentum for the next step. It's like walking up a staircase, one manageable step at a time. Before you know it, you've climbed a mountain. Pro tip, actually write these mini tasks down and check them off. It feels oddly satisfying. 3. Use if-then plans, implementation intentions. This is a fancy term with a simple idea that really works. Plan out exactly when and where you'll take action, and even how you'll handle obstacles, essentially premeditated decisions. Psychologists call them implementation intentions. They often take the form, if X happens, then I'll do Y. For example, if it's 7 a.m., then I'll jump out of bed and go for a run. Or, if I start scrolling on my phone instead of working, then I'll activate a website blocker. By pre-deciding, you don't rely on willpower in the moment. The decision is already made. It's like giving future you a script to follow. Another example, if I finish reading one chapter, then I'll reward myself with 10 minutes of Netflix. This way, even if motivation dips, your if-then plan nudges you forward and helps you stay consistent regardless of the situation. 4. Harness intrinsic rewards. We talked about intrinsic motivation, doing things for internal joy. So try to make your work fun or satisfying in itself. Play your favorite music while cleaning, turn studying into a game, quiz yourself, give yourself stars or points, or compete with yourself, like trying to beat your last workout time. Find aspects you enjoy or ways to enjoy the process. If you genuinely enjoy what you're doing, or how you're doing it, you'll need a lot less push to get started. 5. Environment and accountability. Hacks. Shape your environment to encourage action. For instance, if you want to read more, leave books around your home, not your phone. If you want to hit the gym, pack your gym bag the night before and put it by the door. Also, use accountability. Tell a friend your goal or find a buddy with similar goals. Knowing someone else expects you to do something can light a fire under you. Nobody likes telling their friend they flaked out. Some people even post their goals on social media or use habit tracking apps for that public-private accountability. Do whatever makes not doing the task more uncomfortable than just doing it. Managing emotions. Master your inner waves. 1. Pause and breathe. The moment you notice a strong emotion, anger, anxiety, sadness, hitting you like a truck, stop. Take a deep breath. Actually, take a few. Deep breathing is like a reset button for your nervous system. It tells your body, hey, it's okay, calm down. This is huge because emotions often trigger fight or flight physical reactions. A few slow, deep breaths can slow your heart rate and send a signal to your brain that you're in control. During this pause, remind yourself that feeling an emotion doesn't mean you must act on it immediately. Give your rational brain a moment to catch up. For example, you get an angry email. Your chest tightens. You want to fire off a nasty reply. Instead, step away for 5 minutes. Breathe. Maybe drink water. You'll likely find the intense anger eases just enough that you can respond more calmly and wisely. 2. Name it to tame it. This might sound almost too simple, but just putting your feelings into words can diffuse their intensity. Psychologists call it affect labeling. The saying goes, if you can name it, you can tame it. So when you're flooded with emotion, quietly say to yourself, I'm feeling really anxious right now, or I'm furious about what happened. It's like you go from being the emotion to observing it. Instead of I am angry, think I feel angry. This little mental trick creates a bit of distance. You acknowledge the emotion, which is healthy. You never want to just deny it. But you also remind yourself that you are more than this feeling, and it will pass. 3. Reframe your thoughts. Remember the Schachter-Singer theory. How we label our arousal shapes our emotion. We can use that as a hack. Reframing means changing the story you're telling yourself about what's happening. For example, say you're about to give a public speech and you feel those nerves. Sweaty palms, racing heart. Instead of thinking I'm so nervous, I'm freaking out, consciously tell yourself, I'm excited. My body is revving up to help me perform well. This might sound like fooling yourself, but it works because fear and excitement are physiologically similar. The difference is how you interpret it. Many performers and athletes use this trick to channel pre-game or stage jitters into pumped-up energy. Similarly, when something goes wrong, try to find a positive spin or a lesson. Instead of, I failed, I'm devastated. Think I'm disappointed now, but I learned what not to do next time. Reframing won't erase the emotion, but it can take the edge off and change what you do with it. 4. Healthy outlet and action. Emotions need motion. They're called emotions for a reason. They want to move. So find a healthy outlet to express or release that emotional energy. If you're sad or stressed, maybe writing in a journal or talking to a friend will help you process it. If you're angry, doing something physical, like a quick workout, punching a pillow, or even just brisk walking, can burn off that adrenaline surge. Some people paint or play music to channel emotions creatively. Find what works for you. The point is to express the feeling in some way, rather than letting it boil inside. Also, sometimes taking action on what the emotion is telling you can resolve it. Feeling lonely? Schedule a coffee date with a friend. Your sadness is signaling a need for connection. Feeling unappreciated at work? Talk to your boss or advocate for yourself. Emotions often carry messages about what we need. Addressing those needs can make the emotional storm clouds part. 5. Build emotional habits. Just as you can build muscles by working out, you can build your emotional fitness with regular practices. Two great exercises are mindfulness and gratitude. Mindfulness, like through meditation, or simply a daily quiet breathing exercise, trains you to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Over time, you get better at catching emotional reactions early and responding calmly. Gratitude, taking a minute each day to note a few things you're thankful for, can tilt your mood toward the positive by highlighting the good in your life, especially helpful if you're prone to anxiety or irritability. These habits increase your overall resilience, so stressful events don't knock you down as hard. Think of it like an emotional toolkit. When life throws a curveball, you've got your breath, your awareness, your healthy outlets, all ready to help you handle it. Real-world scenario. Putting it all together. Let's say it's a typical evening. You come home from work or school, knowing you should work on a big project, motivation challenge ahead, and you're also feeling cranky because of an argument earlier, emotion challenge. Here's how you might apply what we've discussed. Motivation side. First, find your why. Remind yourself, completing this project will get me a step closer to that promotion, meaningful goal. Then, set a tiny step. Decide to work on it for just 15 minutes. That's it. Anyone can handle 15 minutes. Use an if-then plan. If I work 15 minutes, then I get to have a cup of my favorite tea or check Instagram for 5 minutes. Make sure your environment helps. Put your phone on silent. Play some upbeat music if it energizes you. And maybe tell your roommate, "Don't let me leave this desk for 15 minutes." Now you've minimized distractions and added accountability. Hit start on a timer and go. Chances are, once you start, you'll get in the flow and maybe do even more than 15 minutes. But even if not, hey, you made progress and can feel good about it. Emotion side. Now, about that crankiness from the argument. Pause for a moment and acknowledge it. I'm really irritated by what happened. That's naming it. Rather than stewing for the rest of the night, give yourself an outlet before you start working. Maybe you do a quick 5-minute journal rant. Write down exactly what annoyed you and why. Or you vent to a friend, or to voice notes on your phone to let it out. After that, take a big breath and ask, okay, what can I do about this, if anything? Maybe you realize you need to have a calm chat with the person tomorrow to clear the air. Or maybe it's something you just need to let go for now. Either way, by processing it, you prevent that bad mood from hijacking your whole evening. You've addressed the emotion and freed up mental space to focus on your project. See how this works? By understanding the psychology of motivation and emotion, you're not at the mercy of mysterious forces. You've got a game plan. You can crack the whip on procrastination and also give yourself compassion when you're feeling low. And remember, knowledge is power. Simply knowing why you might feel unmotivated. Maybe a need isn't met, or the task lacks personal meaning, or why you're overwhelmed by feelings. Maybe you're interpreting a situation more negatively than it is. Can be a game changer. It turns life from a confusing roller coaster into a ride where you understand the twists and turns and can even enjoy them. Motivation and emotions. They are the twin engines of your life's journey. They can either work for you, propelling you to achieve your dreams and build amazing relationships, or if unchecked, they can work against you, leaving you stuck or overwhelmed. The good news? You hold the steering wheel. By understanding the science behind what drives you and what you feel, you gain the tools to steer those engines effectively. Imagine the possibilities. Waking up each day driven and purposeful, knowing how to kickstart your motivation even on tough days. Facing challenges with a cool head because you recognize your emotional signals and know how to respond to them. Life won't suddenly become perfect. We're all human, and we'll all have lazy mornings and emotional outbursts. But you'll bounce back faster and keep moving forward with confidence. As we wrap up, Take a moment to think about one insight or tip from this video that really spoke to you. Maybe it's setting that if-then plan for a goal, or simply pausing to breathe when anger strikes. Commit to trying it this week. You might be surprised how such a small change can make a big difference. Knowledge only becomes power when you use it. So pick one thing and run with it. Remember, motivation is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And emotional intelligence is a skill. The more you practice, the more resilient and balanced you become. You've got everything it takes to create positive change in your life, one small step or one deep breath at a time. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone else who could use a motivational boost or a dose of emotional wisdom. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos on the psychology of everyday life. We've got plenty more mind-blowing insights and practical tips on the way. Drop a comment below. Let us know what motivates you or how you deal with tough emotions. Your story might just inspire someone else. Thank you so much for watching. Stay motivated, stay mindful, and remember, you have the power to shape your feelings and drive. They don't shape you. Take care, and see you in the next one.